You're listening to Embrace Your Snake, the #1 podcast for creatives that need just that little push and that little bit of belief to make their dreams become reality. I'm your host, Michael Jackson, and today we're talking about confidence. Where does it come from, or where did it go? I really do believe that confidence is one of the things that can push somebody from being just average and a also ran into somebody who can be a superstar. And I don't really care if that's somebody who's into photography, or if you're a model, or if you're an artist that does painting or sculpture or anything else, musician, playwright, whatever it is. I do believe that confidence is one of those things that can push you from being just that ordinary person into the superstar that you actually know you are in your mind. There are so many things that stop us from being confident, or that at least sap that confidence from us. There's our parents. There's our relationships with our friends. There's our relationships with our spouse or with our boyfriend or girlfriend. There's people around us who tell us constantly, oh my gosh, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. How do you think you're going to make it by being a photographer or a singer or a guitar player or a photographer or anything that's out there? Because those aren't your quote unquote normal jobs. Those are jobs that only those people over there can do. Those are jobs that the people who are superstars get to do, and you need to go back to your 9 to 5 and be whatever it is that you're really supposed to be. That's the mentality that stops us from being the superstars that we know that we are. I've heard it so many times. I've heard it in my own life. I've heard it in the lives and careers of people that I have tried to help. I've heard it just in passing, and it infuriates me every time I hear it, because what you're hearing is somebody saying, I didn't make my dream, and you're not going to make yours. And as a matter of fact, if you try, I'm going to stop you. Now, sometimes those people are trying to, quote unquote, help you. They think that by stopping you from pursuing this ridiculous dream is a way for you to be safe, because, only 0.00% of people in the world get to be Michael Jackson. They get to be anybody who's at the very top of their game. Well, that is true. But that does not mean, and that does not exclude you from living your dream of being a musician, artist, or anything else in the creative field. The creative field, to me, is one of those most creative of endeavors that needs to be around in history. It's the thing, as a matter of fact, if you really think about it, if it weren't for writers, and the creative writers, the ones who actually set the tone of an era, we wouldn't know what went on, because nobody would have written it down. They'd all be at their 9 to 5 jobs, or out in the fields cleaning, horse stables and picking corn and, doing all the things that you do at normal jobs back in the day. Or they'd be at their computers now sending out reports and doing all these other things. Who is it that actually makes the world relax? It's the creatives. Who is it that gets the world to think? It's the creatives. So I want to say that the people who are sapping the energy from the creative community need to all sit down and shut up for a while, because you're all listening to the radio to relax. That music, by the way, is not free. But before we get to that, because there's so many things that are just absolutely wrong that creatives have to put up with, let's go back to confidence. That confidence comes from a number of sources. One, it comes from practicing your craft. We all know that when you start out, there's not necessarily the skill level there so that you can get to, perform in Carnegie Hall, on the United Center, in the big coliseums. That does not happen overnight. Even if today, if you've never played a giant coliseum, the way for you to get to the coliseum is there are steps you have to go through. You cannot go from playing, let's say, your high school auditorium to playing the giant coliseum. Not because you're not good enough, but because the experience is overwhelming and you haven't done it before. But that does not mean that you shouldn't have the confidence that you can get there and that you can play that. I will tell you that playing on a giant stage, if you haven't done it before, if you're a musician, is a completely different experience than playing in your garage or at a local club or at House of Blues because you can't hear each other necessarily. You can't do the same kind of cueing. If you've never done it before, you don't know where your other people are on stage, and oftentimes you might feel like you're alone. So don't think that you can't do it. It's just that you have to go through a process to get there. That process can be quick, but there is a process that happens to make that happen. All right. So confidence, where does it come from? It comes from doing things. When somebody says, would you like to? The answer is yes, I want to try, or yes, I'm going to do that. If someone says to you, let's say you're a photographer and you've been shooting high school plays, or you've been shooting local weddings, and someone says, oh my gosh, I like your work. I want you to be a travel photographer. I want you to come with me to this exotic land. Your answer is yes, I want to do that, because you know in your head, you know through your experience that you can do this. You may be scared to death, but that doesn't stop you from actually taking advantage of that opportunity. You built up to it. You did the practice. You did the hours of research. You've done the number of shoots. You've done what it takes to get there. If you're a musician and somebody says, I want to take you on tour with me to do this thing, the answer is yes. Now, there's another situation that happens, and that could be the situation where someone doesn't ask you, but you want to move to the next level. There's a confidence that you have to go out and say, you know what? I'm good enough to do this. I've got the experience. I can do it. And it's just up to you to walk up to the person that you want to talk to and ask them, can I do this for you? It's up to you to have that confidence about you, that air about you that says, I am good enough to do this, and here's why. Don't let anyone tell you that you're not good enough to get to where you want to be. I will say, once again, there are steps that have to be gone through. You have to go through the steps. It can be a very rapid succession through the steps, but there are steps that you go through to get from the bottom to the top. Nobody gets to the top just by making the giant leap. We are not quantum. There are steps that we go through. Okay? That's it for now. Confidence. It's all inside you already. You need to surround yourself with the people that bring out that confidence and use that confidence to get from where you are to the next step up. Use it, believe it, ask questions. You are worthy. This is Michael Jackson. Peace.